Good evening. We'd ask you to please rise if you're able and welcome Cantor Seth Warner, who will lead us in the singing of Hatikva, the national anthem of Israel.
Kol od balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulfate mizrach kadima Ein lezion Sophia Od lo avda tikvatenu Hatikva bat shenot alpaim Liotam chofshi be'artzenu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim Liotam chofshi be'artzenu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim.
So earlier this week, I had the opportunity to spend some time with one of my colleagues from Israel, actually a rabbi who I met for the first time on a federation trip about 17 years ago when I first came to St. Louis. And the two of us had not seen each other since October 7th, even though we had talked many times. And so we had this opportunity just to sit together and talk about the way that our lives and our communities and our congregations had changed since then. And we talked about the way that so many people who we were working with, they felt unsettled, they felt afraid, they felt that they were still grieving. The idea that so many of the people that we work with every single day felt that somehow they were lost as Jews. But we also talked about the way that somehow in the past 18 months, actually our communities seem stronger than they ever were before. That we have also seen people showing up to synagogue who we had never seen or hadn't seen in a long time. That our congregations were growing in size. That we had more people converting to Judaism. That people seemed actually somehow more connected to their Judaism since October 7th. And it reminded me of this teaching that one of my favorite teachers at rabbinical school used to say. He always used to say, when it's good for the Jews, it's bad for the Jews. And when it's bad for the Jews, it's good for the Jews. That is that when things are good and we don't have the threat of anti-Semitism hanging over our heads, then those are the times when perhaps as Jews we are less connected to our communities. We feel less obligated to show up for each other. And it's at the times when we really feel anti-Semitism and fear that actually we are at our most excited to be in community. We are our most engaged. But I think the reason that we do this is because we understand as a community that there will be bad times and that they will be followed by good times, and those will be followed by bad and by good again. We understand this historical cycle. And because of that, we know that when there are good times, those are the times when we reach out to our non-Jewish neighbors and friends and we build community. That those are the times when we try to increase our philanthropy because we know that we're going to need a cushion for those tough times. So that when the tough time comes, we are prepared and we have everything that we need to move forward. Before he got back on the plane to go to Israel, I said to my colleague, well, tell us, what can we in St. Louis do for you in Israel? And he said, that's funny. I was actually about to ask you the exact same question. Because the truth is that our friends and our loved ones and our sisters and brothers who are in Israel, they are just as concerned about us as we are concerned about them. Because we understand this idea that Kol Yisrael Aravim Zeh that all of the people of Israel, all of us are responsible for each other. And then in the good times and the bad times, we are here as one community to make sure that whatever comes our way, that we have the ability to face that future with grace and with dignity and with strength. So one more quick thing. This past Shabbat at our synagogue, the boy who became a bar mitzvah, actually the nephew of one of the people we're honoring tonight, that he gave this really beautiful Devar Torah that was almost like a 13-year-old's love letter to the Jewish community. And he was talking about the way he felt about growing up in a Jewish preschool and then working out at the J and going to J camps and being part of a synagogue and all of the different things that made him a member of this community. And at the end of his Devar Torah, he had a special message for all of his friends, all of these other 13-year-olds in the room. And he reminded them that at the end of every book of Torah, just as we experienced this past week, that you say these words, chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Strength, strength, and let us be strengthened. And so just as he shared those words with his 13-year-old community, I would share the same with you. That is this idea of strength that we have and that our friends and our loved ones in Israel have and that Jews have all over the world, that this strength is what will help us all to be strengthened in whatever chapter comes next.
Please welcome Jewish Federation of St. Louis Board Chair Todd Seawalk.
My name is Todd, and I'm an optimist. I'm the son of two optimists, so it runs in the family. I even grew up on a street my parents named Sunny Hill, making optimism the backdrop of my childhood. I bring that lens of optimism to my work with the Jewish Federation. Being an optimistic Jew in 2025 may seem like a contradiction to some. We're living through a time of deep uncertainty, rising anti-Semitism, conflict in Israel, and a polarizing political landscape. But I'm as optimistic as I've ever been. So let me tell you why. For thousands of years, the story of Jews has been a story of hope. The story of Jewish history, our resilience, our values guide us to pursue a better world. More important, charge us with the responsibility for creating it. The first reason I'm optimistic is you, all of you. We're fortunate so many professional staff, lay leaders, and volunteers take joint responsibility for making our Jewish community vibrant, engaging, and supportive. I'm riding long coattails in this role, as many skilled and committed leaders have chaired this federation over the past 125 years, and many of you are here tonight. Most recently, Bob Newmark guided our community through a turbulent 2 years, and he's been a close friend and trusted advisor as I transition into my role. I'm so grateful for Bob's leadership. Our development team, led by Vice President Larry Gast, Development Chair Toby Wardakovsky, and our passionate campaign co-chairs, Janie Rudman-Weiss and Galia Movitz, brought insight and enthusiasm to their roles, which led to a 10% increase in our annual campaign in 2024. We're so appreciative. 10% always gets an applause. We're so appreciative that Janie and Galia will be continuing in their leadership roles for the 2025 campaign. And I thank each and every one of you who participated in our campaign. You have gave generously, and we take seriously the trust you place in the Federation to steward your dollars in meaningful and impactful ways. We're also grateful to Michael Steinberg for providing a generous match that added tremendous momentum toward the end of the campaign. We're confident the dollars raised will make a meaningful difference thanks to the work of Karen Scher, our Chief Impact Officer, and Burt Garland, who led the Community Impact Committee. Together, they're a phenomenal example of what happens when a superlative professional and a dedicated lay leader join forces to invest in our community. And it goes without saying that among the reasons I'm optimistic is the presence of our new CEO, Danny Cohn. We welcome Danny to St. Louis along with his husband, Andrew, and their daughter, Nora. I'm grateful to our search committee chairs, Abby Goldstein and Craig Rosenthal, and all of you who participated in the interview and selection process. We're so fortunate that our nationwide search led us to Danny, and Danny to us. His skills and experiences make him the ideal person to lead our community forward, and he's 100% Mensch too, and you'll hear from him shortly. The second reason I'm an optimistic Jew comes from the experience after October the 7th. In the aftermath of that horrific day, we saw an alarming rise in anti-Semitism, an open expression of Jew hatred almost everywhere we looked, in places we never expected. But we had hope, we had people and institutions ready to respond. Our readiness was the result of years of investing in relationships, partnerships, and infrastructure that holds us together when the world feels like it's falling apart. That's why, even when all the campuses in the metro area experienced anti-Israeli protests, and some had encampments, they were addressed and handled in an ideal way. Nobody was denied their opportunity to engage in free speech, and we were able to implement more and better safety measures to protect ourselves. The third reason I'm optimistic stems from our strategic plan. We embarked on that process in the spring of 2024, co-chaired by Stephanie Gross and myself, with an incredible input from our professional staff, our board, and other lay leaders, and many stakeholders. The process included examining what other federations are doing, conducting interviews, and hundreds of candid, constructive conversations along the way. The outcome is a strategic plan that recognizes this organization, our federation, as part community builder, part convener of diverse voices, part crisis responder, and part investor in the long-term vibrancy of this community. Our plan calls for new approaches to fundraising, approaches that are more personal, more relationship-driven, and more donor-driven, using technology to improve outreach and communication. It encourages creative investments in community engagement, leadership development, and Jewish education that speak to today's realities. The plan focuses on 4 areas of funding where we can make the greatest impact. The first priority is to care for people in need, locally and globally, caring for the elderly, for the very young, and addressing housing and food insecurity are chief among the projects we support. The second priority is enhancing our safety and addressing anti-Semitism. This includes leading physical security efforts, gathering intelligence data, generating support for Israel and Jews from the broader community, and combating anti-Semitism directly. I want to remind you, although you don't need reminding, that we are the only group of Americans, whether you're talking ethnic groups, religions, races, whatever, that has to organize, provide, and pay for our own security. I would especially like to recognize Scott Biondo and his team for their personal sacrifices and steadfast commitment to our community, to keeping our community safe and secure. Scott is in the back there. And I'm sure this isn't the first time you've seen him. Very few people know how hard Scott works and just how much he does to protect us all. So now I want to ask Scott to stand, but I knew he would be standing when I wrote this because he always is, and recognize and thank him for all that you do for the community. Our third funding priority focuses on promoting vibrancy, fostering an engaged Jewish community through education, cultural activities, and multi-generational programming that helps our Jewish community not just survive, but thrive. Fourth, and finally, we're deepening our connection with Israel, strengthening bonds through education, travel, and partnerships with our Israeli counterparts. We brought Israel to St. Louis through more than 65 Israel-related activities last year, like programs like our Shinshanim program, Sababa Festival, and many more. We also took St. Louis to Israel through Birthright, Passport to Israel, Show Me Israel, and other community missions. Our goals, our ambitions, achieving them requires a shared sense of urgency and commitment to excellence across every part of our organization. That's where the real work begins. We're embracing new business models, transforming how we collaborate, enhancing communication with all stakeholders, and making bold investments in high-potential programs that can drive lasting impact. That's why I'm an optimistic and energized by the road ahead. I'm grateful to all of you who are here tonight and for the contributions and commitments you have made individually and collectively. The fact that you're here means you believe in the potential of our Jewish community and share a passion for protecting and enhancing its vibrancy. This is our Jewish community, our federation, all of ours. Working together, we can continue caring for people in need, we can continue combating anti-Semitism and ensuring our safety. We can keep deepening our connection to Israel, and we can continue standing up for one another. When an engaged Jewish community like ours works toward a shared vision, a bright future is more than just possible. It's achievable for ourselves, and it will be the gift we leave to future generations. L'dor vador. So here's to optimism. Here's to our future. And here's to you, our proud Jewish community. Thank you.
It is now our pleasure to welcome the President and CEO of Jewish Federation of St. Louis, Danny Cohn.
Good evening. I am thrilled beyond measure to be joining you this evening and to be a new member of the St. Louis Jewish community. Thank you to everyone, our lay leaders, our staff, our community partners who have warmly welcomed me. You have shown me the rich history and deep commitment to Jewish life that has been embedded here for generations. As I begin this journey with you all, I found myself reflecting on where I came from and what brought me to this point. So let's go back to the beginning, to Omaha, Nebraska. Like all Midwestern boys, all I dreamed about growing up was to one day become the CEO of a Jewish federation. But actually, my aspirations were to become a huge Broadway star, and the CEO of a Jewish Federation was the next solid choice. I usually tell people that my Federation journey began at the age of 16 with my first gift to the Omaha Jewish Federation. While that may be the first time I took an active role, Federation has guided my life well before that point. I am the proud product of the Federation system. The Jewish preschool at the JCC that I attended, funded by Federation. The Yom Ha'atzmaut parades I marched in, funded by Federation. Summer camp scholarships, funded by Federation. Becoming president of BBYO's AZA #1, funded by Federation. My scholarship to college, funded by Federation. My first trip to Israel, funded by Federation. And while not funded by Federation, the home studies done so that Andrew and I could adopt a child and become Abba and Daddy, well, those we paid for, but they were done by Jewish Family Services, an agency partner to the Federation. So you could safely say, without Federation, I would not be standing here before you today, ready to lead and serve our community to ensure its vibrancy and security. Some of you may be aware that Jewish communal service is my second act. I spent the first half of my professional career in community building, storytelling, and strategic leadership. I've had the privilege of working with organizations that understood the power of data, collaboration, and engagement in shaping the future. So why the switch? I could give you a number of answers to that question, but let me answer it as simply as I can, with a dash of armchair philosophy mixed in for good measure. The short version is that through the grace of God, I've reached this moment with you today. Just think about it. Over the last 3,000 plus years, my bloodline, our bloodline, should have ended numerous times. Since the beginning of our story in the Torah, our people, Am Yisrael, have fought many battles. We have been victims of slavery, expulsions, pogroms, and genocides. Yet here I am, and here we are, all of us gathered this evening, all here fulfilling God's master plan of protecting and progressing this generation of Am Yisrael. None of us are here by accident. All of us fulfill a purpose, and each of us is lucky as a Jew that our ancestors survived. The question is, what should each of us do with this gift? The choice for me was easy: to use my talents and energy to propel our people and our community forward, to raise dollars that ensure vibrancy, to educate not only my child, but our community's children, to stand up to hate and to advocate for Israel. But I can't do this alone. Ensuring a strong Jewish future is a shared responsibility. It is a mission that requires all of us to show up, to give, to engage, and to lead. Our history has shown us that Jewish survival is not passive. It is active. It demands effort and commitment and courage. Just as our ancestors built and rebuilt our communities time and time again, so too must we ensure that future generations inherit a strong, proud, and thriving Jewish world. Tonight, I invite each of you to accompany me on this journey together. We are the lucky ones. We are the ones who have survived more than 3,000 years, and God has chosen us for this historic moment. There's a verse in Jeremiah that loosely translates into, "Pray for the community in which you are in, and its welfare will become your peace." And while prayer may be the cornerstone of faith, we no longer have the luxury of relying on prayer alone. The challenges we face today are immense: rising anti-Semitism, security concerns, and the need to foster a strong Jewish identity in an increasingly complex world. But if history has taught us anything, it is that when we stand together, when we invest in our people, and when we lead with courage, we do not just survive, we thrive. Each of us has a role to play, whether by giving our time, our resources, or our voices. Let this evening be a turning point, a commitment to take action, whether it is through the Federation, through Jewish education, or acts of kindness and advocacy. Let us each find our way to strengthen our community, Tonight, I close with the words that are usually reserved for when we finish the Torah. Hazak, hazak, v'nit hazek. Be strong, and may we be strengthened. May we continue to build, to protect, and to ensure the Jewish future together. Am Yisrael Chai.
To begin our awards presentations, please welcome Federation's Vice Chair of Communications, Patty Bloom.
The Fred A. Goldstein Professional Excellence Award honors Jewish professionals who excel in their field, who have a significant track record over time, who have introduced important innovations to our community, and who are role models for professionals and lay leaders. And I get the pleasure of presenting this award to my friend, Rabbi Brad Horowitz, the Chief Engagement Officer at the JCC. So next weekend, we'll gather around our tables and we'll retell the story of the Exodus, and we'll sing Dayenu and reflect on ancient and modern blessings that each alone would have been enough. So let's consider what Rabbi Brad has achieved during his nearly 20 years that he has put the J in the JCC. Brad, you have planned innovative programs for families with young children and empty nesters, bringing them Jewish joy and understanding through wine tastings and bike rides and mezuzah making, just to name a few. You've spearheaded the Garden of Eden, which donates more than 5,000 pounds of food annually to the Harvey Kornblum Jewish Food Pantry. You've been a valued partner to just about every Jewish agency and congregation in St. Louis, which I experienced personally through the many years that Mirowitz collaborated with the J. You helped guide the J through a CEO transition. You've helped establish a new adult day center, which will be opening later this year. Is that right? Yesterday, which will open yesterday at the Chesterfield JCC. And you've spent your entire adult life, from rabbinical school until now, helping to strengthen Jewish life, Jewish identity, Jewish education, and Jewish culture in St. Louis. All that, and you've been my friend since the day we both enrolled our sons in the kindergarten class of 2005 at Mirowitz. So each of those things would have been enough, but collectively your impact has been profound. Brad, it's been a pleasure to watch you thrive in this role professionally over many, many years, and to know for certain that the St. Louis Jewish community is more vibrant, more joyful, and more engaged because of you. Toda Rabbah and Mazel Tov.
The David N. and Rosalind Grossberg Young Leadership Award recognizes volunteer leaders in the Jewish community who are 45 years old and younger. Recipients demonstrate commitment to the Jewish Federation of St. Louis's mission through volunteer leadership and participation in the annual campaign. Pam Totter is very proud of this award in honor of her grandparents, and awardees receive a generous honorarium toward an educational experience. The first of our 2025 David N. and Rosalind Grossberg Young Leadership Award recipients is Joel Gotkin. Joel's involvement with Jewish Federation began years ago when, as a recent transplant to St. Louis and knowing no one, he attended a YPD event where, unbeknownst to him, he would meet his future wife, Laura. Most recently, he co-chaired the Ben Gurion Society, a group of young adult donors with which Joel was instrumental in revamping and reinvigorating programming to help grow the size of the society. In addition to this, Joel sits on the Leadership Advisory Council of the Professional Society. Professionally, Joel is a patent attorney at Olaf PLC, and in our YPD years, we put Joel's high intellect to good use when he and his wife Laura co-chaired our trivia night, served as master of ceremonies, and even crafted the trivia questions. In fact, we had to tell Joel, tone it down a little bit. We're not all patent attorneys, we just want to get a question right. Due to a professional obligation, Joel is unable to be here with us tonight, but it is my honor to welcome his wife, Laura, to receive this award in his honor. So please join me with a round of applause to the first of our David N. and Rosalind Grossberg Young Leader Awards, Joel Gotkin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Melanie Winograd, and it is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you tonight to recognize a truly remarkable woman. Caroline Goldenberg, the second recipient of the David N. and Rosalind Grossberg Young Leadership Award. I had the distinct pleasure of working alongside Caroline during my time as board chair of Epstein Hebrew Academy, where she served as a very dedicated board member. I can tell you that during those challenging years, Caroline was my go-to. When it came to fundraising, making uncomfortable calls, researching grants, I knew I could rely on her to not only step up, but to lead the way with energy, determination, and an unmatched passion for our school. Caroline makes everything happen with grace and efficiency. As these kids say today, she is fire. Seeing her in action, it was a clear transition that Caroline was asked to become the development associate for Epstein. In this capacity, she streamlined the fundraising capabilities and was instrumental in driving numerous successful campaigns. She's brought her unique vision of tireless work ethic and unwavering commitment to ensure that Epstein continues to thrive. At the Federation, Caroline has sat on numerous boards and continues to be an active member of Women's Philanthropy, where she recently served as co-chair of L'Chaim, one of the largest and most successful events, attracting more than 700 Jewish women in one evening, in one room. Caroline has once again demonstrated her dedication to supporting and strengthening our community through the Jewish Federation, and she continues to leave a profound impact on those that she works with. In addition to the Federation and school, Caroline has spent numerous years serving on the board of the St. Louis Jewish Light, as well as sharing her love and experience of writing and editing with teens for the Or Hadash section of the Light. She connects with teens with her wit, wisdom, and style, guiding and developing them as they find their Jewish voice. One of Caroline's greatest passions, and one that truly inspires me, is her unwavering love for Israel. Whether it's through sponsoring Israeli scouts, dedicating time to learn Hebrew in order to connect better with her in-laws, who are here tonight, she is consistently strengthening her ties with our homeland. Caroline exemplifies a deep and abiding connection to the state of Israel, and we hope to join her this December as they celebrate the bar mitzvah of their son Leo in Jerusalem. Beyond her impressive volunteer work and leadership roles, Caroline is a steadfast friend, a fabulous wife to her awesome husband, Itai, an amazing mother of 5 beautiful children, Leo, Ami, Esti, Ellie, and Nessia. And out of our very tight-knit group of friends, Caroline is undoubtedly our smartest friend. Her sharp wit, impeccable taste, and vast knowledge of just about everything makes her a constant source of inspiration and joy. We all look for her for guidance and wisdom, not just because of her brilliance, but because of her warmth, her humor, and her ever-present kindness. Tonight, it is my honor to present to Caroline with this prestigious David N. and Rosalind Grossberg Young Leadership Award. Caroline, you embody every aspect of this award through your leadership, your commitment to our community, your passion for Israel, and the love and care that you show everyone around you. There's no one more deserving. Mazel tov.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Sparks, and I'm a partner at Reuben Brown. I would also like to acknowledge my partner, Felicia Malter, who is not able to be here tonight. Reuben Brown, formerly Reuben Brown and Gorenstein, or RBG, is a professional services firm serving St. Louis for 73 years. We are CPAs providing assurance, tax, and business consulting services to small to large businesses in St. Louis and our 6 other markets. From our inception in 1952, Harvey Brown, Malin Rubin, and Sid Gorenstein served Jewish businesses in our community and contributed very generously to the Federation. That tradition still holds true today. The Reuben Brown Corporate Leadership Award is awarded annually by the Jewish Federation of St. Louis to a company that exemplifies philanthropic leadership in our community. The recipient of this award demonstrates a commitment and dedication to philanthropy and enhances our community in a meaningful way. CBD Kratom, along with its owners, David Platnick and Daphna Rabah, are steadfast supporters of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis and Israel. CBD Kratom has directly sponsored several initiatives and events at Federation and across our Jewish community, including our annual L'Chaim event, which engages over 700 women through women's philanthropy. CBD Kratom has also welcomed young Jewish leaders from our Ben Gurion Society and YPD to visit their operations, network, and better understand their business model and impact. David and Daphna have been committed supporters of Israel, partnering with Federation to sponsor billboards across the St. Louis region, as well as sponsoring and coordinating the Empty Table Shabbat in Shaw Park last year, raising awareness for the hostages and insisting that we bring them home now. They helped bring Israel's Eurovision finalist Idan Golan to St. Louis in January, united in convening our community in the name of Israel and raising support for Federation and United Hatzalah. We are enormously fortunate to have CBD Kratom, as well as David and Daphna, as leaders in our community. Please join me in recognizing CBD Kratom and David and Daphna as this year's recipient of the Reuben Brown Corporate Leadership Award.
Good evening. I'm a little bit surprised that they actually let me come up and speak here tonight. I mean, the last couple of years, they had to let me speak. I was the board chair, but this is truly an honor and a surprise. So I have a couple things to say, but I promise that I will stay on topic. But I do want to first say congratulations and thank you to Todd for taking on the board chair role. I mean, and heartfelt welcome to Danny for joining us here. So I think it was noted earlier that I took on the role of board chair at what turned out to be one of the most challenging times for our community in at least a generation. But that is not to say that there weren't some aspects of my role as board chair that I really enjoyed. And one of the things I really enjoyed the most was getting to know our community, getting to know the work of Federation and the work of our partner agencies at such a deeper level, and really getting to know the people, the professional staff and the lay leaders behind those organizations. And I will say that I was probably most impacted in the meeting and getting to know of one person in our community, Michael Steinberg. Now, I obviously knew who Michael was when I took on the board chair role. His name's on a bunch of buildings around town and the like. Who doesn't know who he is? But I didn't know Michael. We had never really had the opportunity to work together. And I think shortly after I became board chair, I found myself in a one-on-one meeting with Michael, where he was both direct and clear-headed about some things that he thought needed to happen at Federation. And I walked out of that meeting with a lot of thoughts in my mind, but one of them was, I don't know this guy, I need to know him. So I actually reached out to Michael and I asked him to dinner. And he graciously agreed to meet me for dinner. And at dinner, I did something, or I should say, I didn't do something that was a little unusual. I didn't ask Michael for anything. Instead, we just had a conversation, and we got to know each other. And I will say, in every meeting I've had with Michael, from that dinner to meetings and conversations and the like through the last couple of years, I've gotten to know Michael, I think, very well. And I'm really honored to call him a dear friend. So I had a couple of things I wanted to share with you all that I learned about Michael over the last couple of years that I'm not sure everybody here knows. And the first is that what Michael does in his philanthropy in our community is his heart and soul. This is really what Michael is about. This isn't some kind of a show or something something else he's trying to accomplish. This comes from the very soul of Michael. He cares deeply about our community. And what I mean by that is, yes, the broader Jewish community, but also the St. Louis Jewish community. This really matters to him. And he wants to see our community continue to thrive and do well. The second thing I'd like you to know is that I think Michael is the most generous philanthropist I know. And I want to be clear, like it's easy to say, oh, he has a lot of resources at disposal, so it's easy to be generous. First of all, that's completely backwards. If you have a lot of resources, everybody is asking you for something, and it's a lot easier to say no than to say yes. And Michael says yes. He listens. He thinks carefully about the impact that he can have, and he steps up. And so many people turn away from that. But he also gives of his time. And frankly, his own personal experience. And he brings his network and people he knows. So if you sit down with Michael with a question or a problem, he figures out what he can bring to bear or who he knows that can help out. It's truly extraordinary. And I would say inspiring. And the last thing I want to let you know about, and this will come as a surprise, I think, to some people, this isn't about ego for Michael. I know you'll say, oh, but his names are on all those buildings. It has to be about ego. That's not where this comes from with Michael. He really wants to encourage others to think about philanthropy. He wants to lead by example, and he hopes that in doing what he's doing, he'll get some other people excited to do the same. And I know he was deeply, deeply inspired by his own mentors, i.e. Millstone and Tom Green. He brings them up regularly and in public and talks about the impact that they had on him. And I know he's trying to pay it forward. And that also, Michael, is inspiring. So as my term as board chair was winding down, I huddled with Todd and with members of the board about how we could honor Michael for what he's done for our community. And we thought it would be appropriate to add him to our Council of Life. Now, the Council of Life is mostly just made up of past board chairs, but there are some exceptions. We've invited a very small number of other leaders in our community over the years to join the Council of Life, even though they never served as board chair. People who've had huge impact on our community. And I was really kind of startled, actually, that Michael hadn't already been asked. So it was a unanimous decision of our board, and really thrilled that we have been able to extend this, this recognition to you, Michael. And I hope everyone here will join me in both thanking Michael for all he has done and will continue to do for our community, and in congratulating Michael on joining the Council of Life. Okay, I got one more thing to say. I get to introduce the next two speakers, Janie Rubin-Weiss and Galia Movitz. So we got very lucky at Federation and our whole community that Janie and Galia agreed to step up and take on chairing our annual campaign last year. And as you already heard, they did an extraordinary job. Bringing just amazing energy and creativity and enthusiasm to a difficult task. And we got even luckier that they somehow agreed to do it again for a second year. So I just wanted to say to the two of you, thank you so much, and the floor is yours.
We're so proud of our honorees, Caroline, Joel, Rabbi Brad, and Michael Steinberg. We wish you all a heartfelt mazel tov for your love and dedication to Jewish values in our Jewish community. Janie and I just completed year one as campaign chairs. We cherished every moment we worked together for a mission bigger than us. But we must admit that we had no idea how rewarding of a commitment it would be, that we couldn't help but say yes to year two, as you heard. We met so many remarkable people who became mitzvah makers, and I have to explain what mitzvah maker is. When we give, we do a mitzvah. When we ask someone, not only are we making a mitzvah, by their giving, they're doing a mitzvah. A mitzvah is part of our tradition. It's very valuable. So therefore, Eddie's solicitor is called a mitzvah maker. Took time to get used to it, but. So mitzvah makers give so many the opportunity to do a mitzvah as well. Together, we raised close to $10 million. That was said. Dollars that will help us address as many needs as possible, especially at the much-needed areas of security, anti-Semitism, education, and welfare, here in Israel and around the world. The world needs us now more than ever to be a light unto the nations, to spread love and goodness, and to be there to care for those who need us the most. For those who spread hate on white t-shirts, we will continue to spread hope and peace. That's the fashion that we like to promote. Here, this is out of fashion, but pride and support for our people will never go out of fashion. For we have been doing exactly that for many, many generations.
Thank you, Galia, and good evening. Thank you for feeling in your hearts to say, Hineni, here I am, by stepping forward with increased gifts and a matching gift that brought us to almost $1 million ahead of last year, and all because we are doing this together as one. This year, we committed to double that number, and we know that you will be there once again to prove we will be, you all will be there once again to prove that our community, when we come together to bring hope and repair wherever needed, it happens. Together we can do it. To reflect on the past year will bring full action in the coming year. Am Yisrael Chai. We raise a glass and say, where's our glass? And say, we are here to toast and to say l'chaim, to life for all of you, mitzvah makers and community members who have helped make a difference in our campaign. Together, we will bring our 2025 campaign to new heights.
Yes, we will.
Amen. Well, let's go enjoy some refreshments and.
Getting used to these teleprompters to see if I'm up here. Yes. Oh, here we go. We are so appreciative that you were here tonight. Thank you for the roles each of you play in creating our vibrant Jewish community and helping sustain it for generations to come. As we close our program, please join me in saying thank you to our Federation professional staff. If you all could stand, please. Who not only made tonight happen, but also worked tirelessly in our community and behind the scenes to fulfill our mission. We'll see you back in the lobby for our reception. Stay, schmooze, and enjoy what being part of our Jewish community is all about. Thank you.